Okay, we're back. I'm going to go over the test tray. It is in the book, but I'm going to go over from the drawing as I would normally do without really referencing the book. I know it's very close to what the book does. So, file new part. I'm going to start sketch, and I'm going to go on the top. I believe the book also goes off of the top. I will use center rectangle on this. I'll make it a little bit faster and easier. Smart dimension here, off the drawing. Oh, I'm in metric. I need to change that. I'm going to change it before I start here. I go too deep. It's going to be changed to inch, pound, second, unit of measure. I need to go back into that first sketch and edit it because it kicks me out of it. Smart dimension 9.5. And then 5 inches overall. And then I'm going to do the fillets both ways on these 4 corners here. I'm going to use a sketch fillet first, and I'll do, let's see, off the drawing, it's 250 thousandths radius. I'm going to select 2 sketch lines, and I'm just going to do these 2 ends. And you can see it adds the tangency, it adds the, let me just add a little bit, it adds the dimension in there as well. And I leave these 2 square. I'm going to do these 2 as feature fillets. And I'll do that next, right after I extrude this as the base. However, I'm going to make sure that I have my name in the summary information. Make sure you have the title, test tray. And then I'm going to make sure I save this file onto my desktop as last name first, initial, test tray. Save. So from here, a fully defined sketch, features, extrude, that thickness. On this, it doesn't really matter. You can do a mid-plane. I'm not even gonna change the direction, but the thickness of that top of it is 1/2 inch. And you can see I'm going from the sketch plane up. And then I've got the fillets on this side, but not on this side. I'm going to select the fillet from the feature tab fillet, and this will be, I can't select the face, otherwise it'll select all tangent edges. So I need to select the edge, not the face, or not this face. And then that's 250 thousandths here in the property manager. Enter twice. And then the fillets on this side, I'm going to say yes. Escape. The fillets on the left side here are in the sketch of the base. The 2 fillets on the right side are actually right here. And they're highlighted if I highlight that in the tree manager. Okay, this one's a little tricky. Some students do get this incorrect, so please pay attention here. The next, we're going to start with sketch, and I'm going to do 1 circle on this face, and I'm going to put it right there. It really can be anywhere. It doesn't really matter. You're when you dimension it, you want to make sure it's the center of it is on the inside. And I'm going to add dimension now on the size. And it shows it is a 1-inch diameter. And from this edge to the arc center is 1 inch. And then from this edge to arc center is 1 inch. And that shows it as fully defined. Hopefully it's clear on the drawing. It's the leader points to one of the holes and it shows diameter 1 inch at top of tray with 7-degree draft. So after you do this base, this sketch of this arc has to be on the top. And when we extrude this, we're actually going to extrude this down through the base extrusion. Okay, so I have this fully defined. This looks good. I have, again, my summary information, my file name is correct. From this sketch, I'm going to select Features, Extrude, and you can see it's pointing up with this arrow in this case. I'm going to actually flip the direction right here. This is going to be a blind extrusion. I'm going to flip the direction, and it actually does go through, again, my base extrusion, and it shows on the drawing from the top of the tray, from this edge or this face to the bottom of the feet, it is 2 inches. So I'm going to actually populate that here, 2 inches. And it's in that the leader also shows information on the draft of 7 degrees. So I'm going to toggle this draft here in my property manager. I'm going to toggle this draft on. It defaults to 1 degree, and I'm going to increase this, and you can watch you might not be able to tell now, but there's a 1 degree draft. I'm going to increase the draft to 7 degrees, and I'm not going to draft outward. It defaults drafting in. Blind, one direction through the base extrusion, 2 inches. So this dimension here is only given in the extrusion. It's not a smart dimension that we use. I'm going to say, okay, this looks pretty good. This is what we're looking for. It shows both of these sketches now fully defined. Again, this fillet here, I didn't need to, I could have added, you could do these corner fillets here either way, as sketch fillets or as feature fillets, doesn't matter. So from here, a couple weeks ago, we did a circular pattern or a circular sketch pattern. And this time we're going to do a feature pattern, and it'll be a linear feature pattern. So we're not going to start with a sketch. We're actually going to start on the feature tab. And there's a drop-down menu for patterns. And there's all kinds of unique patterns. We'll start with the default shown is the linear. And because there's a base extrusion already, the property manager for the linear pattern opens up, and it actually populates with our boss. I'm going to open the flyout menu as well so we can kind of see. Let me try that. There you go. Zoom into. I always try and pan with the mouse button because I'm just still so used to Mastercam. So I need to. Oh, someone said pan too. I forgot what it was. Control M. Anyway, let's try that again because I escaped out of there. I'm going to select linear pattern, and with the flyout menu open, or if it's not open, if it's shrunk, it still populates here with this boss because you're not going to pattern your base. So it actually self-selects. I think if it's really complex, most of the time I believe it does default to the last feature you have made. So it has two directions here. If you can see, direction number 1 and direction number 2, and it has a distance and it has instances. The instances here always include the original. So this, it shows pattern direction, and then for direction 2, it shows pattern direction. And there's a few ways you can do this. I noticed you can actually select on the face, I believe. But the way I think the book shows you is actually to select this edge. For direction 1, I'm going to select this top edge. And there is a midpoint on this edge. And if I select on the right side of that midpoint, the direction is going to go starting to my right, going left. If I start to the left side of the midpoint of this edge, then the pattern is going to start on my left and go to my right. So if I select here, you'll notice there's a little arrow right here that shows you the direction. Now you can actually change that direction, so that's not a big deal. And then you can count the spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the default looks good. The distance is also on the drawing of 1.5. So this preview looks pretty good. I like that preview. Some of the previews aren't as good, but you can see the distance here and the distance here between the edges of the ends of the extrusions look pretty good. So I like that version. For direction 2, I'm going to select, and you can see now it's blue now, asking us to select this on this side of the edge. The arrow is shown here, actually, if you can see that. It's kind of hard to see. But it only defaults to one instance, and that is the one instance is the original. So if I go 2, 3, it gives me 2 more copies of, uniquely enough, of all 6 of these. So I thought it was pretty cool the way it actually works. I think this one's kind of a user-friendly option, actually. But you can see if you rotate this around, it goes off the edge of my tray. So I know this value is incorrect. The preview again looks really good. I can kind of rotate it around. You can actually do a view. You go to the views, this view, and you can kind of tell this is pretty evenly spaced. This looks correct. So I'm going to say yes. And then if I rotate the part, this is a pretty good preview here. So there's one other thing. If I go to another view here, let's go to this view. It's really key on this that you shell the part before you add the fillets. And there's a few reasons why. But just trust me on this, and I'll show you the wrong way to do it at the end, but I'm going to start with the correct way. So I'm going to, from here, I'm not going to start with a sketch, but we're going to use the shell pattern again from the features tab. I'm going to shell this face, and I'll populate actually with the distances, but the default of 100 thousandths matches our drawing. So I'm just going to shell here. The preview, let's see, not outward. The preview, that might be a little hard to see, but I guess it's okay. It looks pretty good. I'm not going to do multi-thickness. You'll do this in 104. That'll be coming up next semester if you stay with us. So this looks pretty good, and there's actually depth to this. If you go to this view again and you select the view it actually gives you a hidden line view and shows you kind of what is removed from there. So that looks pretty good. If I were to stay in hidden line view, and that is this display style, I call this a display, our hidden lines visible display style. I'm actually going to stay in this and I'm going to select, again, not from a sketch, but using the feature tab, I'm going to use the fillet function. And it's off the drawing. Let's see, the fillet is radius 50 thousandths. That might need to be changed on the drawing. If you want to put a note in there on the very bottom left corner of the drawing, radius 0.050. Speaking of which, I realize now, you know what I should do is have the drawings up. So I can reference, if you go to the drawing and you see this should probably, I should have this say typical on this dimension. So back to SolidWorks, I'm going to change this value, from the default of 250 to 50 thousandths before I select. And in this case, I'm going to window select. And I'm going to window select upper left to right. And there we go. It took a little while. It choked a little bit on my system. But the preview looks pretty darn good. The one thing, I'm pretty sure the book and I both do this the same. This top edge does not have a fillet. And it might be a little bit hard to see or maybe not. I think the shaded version is a little better on this top edge. But this top edge is flat. Okay. So that looks good. The preview looks good. I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to change the view here because this is a little busy. It's got these inside edges and it's like, maybe not. So I'm going to change the display style back to, oh, and I did it wrong. I did it wrong. Wait a minute. Let me go back and look at that. I think something, go back to this and make sure that's correct. Ah, I did the dimension wrong. So I typed that in and I can see what was shown and it didn't quite look correct. So I went back and double checked the dimension. It is 50 thousandths. That is correct. So I had enough experience with this part where I can tell. So just make sure the dimensions you're putting in there are correct. Of course, you can turn it in on time. I can give you feedback and you can correct any of those mistakes. So this looks pretty good. There's a little fillet actually on the bottom edges. There's also fillets here in the corner here, 50 thousandths all the way around on the outside and on the inside of the top of the tray here. But again, in this view, this edge is flat. The top edge is flat. And I think that's it. Let me see if I go to another display view of trimetric. This shows as trimetric. This is what I'm looking for this assignment. I believe this does match what the book has you do and what the drawing shows. So I will do a video for an extra credit project this week, so look on Canvas for that.